Alright. Murise, how are you everyone? It's on a sad day, especially to the ZAOGA Forward in Faith people and to the Guti family. Yeah, me. But I want to share my story on how I joined ZAOGA in 2003 and my departure from ZAOGA in 2019, and also how I met Baba Guti for the first time in my life, and the last time that I saw him. I last saw him this past April, I think somewhere around in the 20th, I can't remember, I think it was on the 24th of April this year. That was the last time that I saw him alive. Obviously, condolences to family. Personally, I hold him in high regard because of personal ties that I had with the family. However, we atina uzopedza our, I can say kuti I hoped to see him before he died, like have a conversation, one-to-one conversation, but anyway, it didn't happen. But I don't feel guilty for it, or do I regret not seeing him. It was the will of God. Personally, if something does not happen to me, I don't question God kuti why mwari zvaitika why zvaitika. Lese ndikashaya mari nhasi or ndikashaya chinja ndikuda nhasi, I don't normally question God. I know God has got a plan. So I joined ZAOGA in 2003 and akura ndichipinda Baptist. My mother, my family, my brothers, they are all vanopinda Baptist, so we grew up going to Baptist. Then in 2002 pakauya anonzi David Mabramiti kwataidzidza kusanyota, and David Mabramiti came, he was preaching, and ndobva ndakanyara kutenduka kubva kuBaptist ndichienda kuZAOGA because I was already ndandiri kuita form 4 by then. Ndakangonyara kuti no, let me, but I found ZAOGA to be interesting more than Baptist, because Baptist back then, it was interesting, but it was something ndandangoona sengoti it was now boring for my liking. So I joined in 2002 secretly, ndaingoenda, but just because of your peers vanga vajaira kukuona uchienda kuBaptist, I thought, okay, let me not leave my church ndakakura ndichipinda. Ndabva ndajoina ZAOGA in 2003. So I joined ZAOGA in 2003. One of the things that made me to join ZAOGA was I read the African Apostle book, and the story of Ezekiel Guti kind of like fascinated me, and it made me to say, let me go to this church. This church has got a history. This is how the men met God. This is how the men started the church and everything. Excuse me. I'm glad to see my classmate Eustace Dube. How are you, my brother? What do you say? It's good to see you here on a sad day for ZAOGA. So in 2003, I then fully joined the Gavanda. I then moved to Harare, and that's where I was now full-time, because I was now away from my peers. Then I fully joined ZAOGA, and I was now a member of ZAOGA Forward in Faith. I was always someone who was keen to know. As you can see, I'm someone who was very, very inquisitive when it comes to something. I want to know something before I join it. So before I joined ZAOGA, I read a lot of books by Baba Guti. I also read the book African Apostle, which I found that a number of people vakanga vari mu ZAOGA, they had not read the book of Ezekiel Guti, the African Apostle, which I find strange, that people can be moved by emotions without doing a due diligence search. So after joining ZAOGA in 2003, I followed and followed, and then I eventually came to South Africa in 2008. That's when the Ezekiel TV was launched. To cut the long story short, I was studying here. I was doing sound engineering in Joburg, and then I heard that Ezekiel TV was launched. There was a TV station. I had known other TV stations that were there, Love Sat and like the likes of God TV, the likes of other TV. How are you, my brother Douglas Matthew Tapera? How are you doing? Good to see you here on the live broadcast. So I'm going to say a few things in terms of history, and then I'll come back to now and other things that I want to address. However, much of the story that I'm going to say, I'm going to do a live broadcast with Gambakwe tonight. So we're going to be talking about what is happening in the church, what is the succession plan, what are the problems that the church might likely to encounter, and I'll be articulating points based on facts and based on history and based on scientific evidence. So that is for tonight. So if you want to be part of that, please tune in tonight. And also you can give me stars. If you're watching, please give me stars. Let's talk about this. I'll be mixing Shona and Chirungu. So in 2008, seeing Ezekiel TV starting and everything, I was so fascinated, but I had a dream of working for Ezekiel TV because, you know, as somebody was working, I always was fond of media, and I thought I love to work for this channel. And 2009, I started working for Ezekiel TV because they employed me as a FCC engineer. I don't know, some of you, I mean, this is a strange word. An FCC engineer is someone who works in its final control cabin engineer. So I was working at the broadcast center where Ezekiel TV was broadcasting. So all the programs that will come from as pre-recorded programs, I load on the server, and then I would play them. So I would make sure that they play on schedule. That's basically what I was doing. And I started learning how to edit, started learning how to do camera work with the help of my brother Nefi Jou, and even the likes of Ruben Guti, the nephew to the late Ezekiel Guti. Right, so I was someone who was very, very keen. I was like, I think in terms of books that were written by Baba Guti in ZAOGA, I think maybe less than 15 of the books that he has written, I have not read them. I've read almost all of his books, almost the books that was written by my Guti. So I'm someone who is very studious, and I love reading. And as you can see here in my car, I have this. I'm reading this. So I'm someone who is keen on reading. It has always been my culture. And sometimes if I don't read, I become a bit daft. But anyway, so 2009, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, I got married. Apostle Ezekiel Guti, or Ezekiel Guti, gave me an opportunity to work, to go outside of the country and work, which I'm also appreciative of that. It gave me knowledge in the media industry that I'm grateful for. I'll come to the issue of the doctrine and the issue of other things, but let me appreciate what happened between me and him in terms of when we're working together. So I was not working with him directly. I was working, remember, under Ezekiel TV, but the privilege that we had was we could, you know, oh guys, can you hear me? Let me just turn off, my Bluetooth is off. Yeah, maybe I can put on my earbuds so that you guys can hear me. Kana uri kundinzwa, just say hi. Can you guys hear me? 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 If you can hear me, just say I can hear you. Or maybe I need to put my earbuds so that you guys can hear me. All right. Thank you, Samkele, for that. So I was talking about the about my encounter with Ezekiel Guti. So my first time seeing him, like greeting him face to face, was in 2010. That was my first time seeing him face to face, greeting him. The first time that I saw him was in 2003, but I had not had the thing of greeting him. So that was my first time encountering him and being introduced. Okay, and vakomana vakushanda ku Ezekiel TV zvakadai and everything. So yeah, that was in 2010. And we kept on having times that would see him in 2010 there, 2011 and everything. So I got opportunities to work, I got opportunities to get to learn. I am someone who is very, very keen on learning new things. So ndakadzidzawo zvakawanda when I was there. However, I just feel that there are issues whereby the system is a bit exploitative in a way, because as much as I was learning how to do camera work, learning about media, learning about how broadcasting works, there was, if you then look at it in that way, that how many jobs were you doing as an individual? You have been employed as this, but you are now getting to learn and to do 5 other jobs, but you are not being remunerated, or you are not getting a salary increase, something like that. So we always had a fight. That fight, I think we started fighting about this in 2011. Tukumbura mutuwedzere mari, mari yamuri kutipa haichakwane, tukumbura mutuwedzere mari. And it was a struggle, and there was always this issue yekuti mari hapana. Saka takagara for a long time tichingochema nyaya yekuti mari hapana. So that was the start of the struggle. That was the start of the dissatisfaction epabasa, because now I'm knowing a lot of things. I'm being multitasked. Ndiri kuita camera work, ndiri kuita graphic designing, ndiri kuita scheduling. I'm doing all these other things, but at the end of the day I'm not being remunerated. For your own information, taitotambirawo mari yakanga iri shoma kudarika yemahouse girl. By then we're earning something like 1.5, and I've got evidence to this, and no one can dispute that. So from 2011 somewhere there, we're getting something like 1.5. And some people vaitoona vaitoti vakomana ku Ezekiel TV mutambira mari, but asingatambiri mari. So that is when the beginning of dissatisfaction started. Ataona kuti this is not right. Vanhu ngavangopiwawo mari yakadi inotengawo kana mari yakanaka. Because my argument was always like this: kana muchikwanisa kubhadhara vanhu city council mari yakakwana yemvura yamashandisa, kana kuti vanhu veEscom mari yemagetsi yakakwana, why not pay your own workers vari kushanda? Even if mukati vari kushumira, ngavabhadharawo mari inotenga yekutiwo they can go home vane something. So that's when the beginning of dissatisfaction started. Fast forward, a lot of things then happened in the interim, and then I got frustrated even more. Even though I was getting opportunities, but it was not enough for one to say I am working at a big channel of a big church like that. So that's when the dissatisfaction. But I kept on, looking here, looking there. Then in 2018, but before that, in 2013, I did a diploma in biblical studies and amfikirere aramuza vanopinda zaija. They know this, guys. Ndokumbiro mungo weziro kukanda masters, weziro kanda masters, kanda masters. Then I'll tell you about the prophecy of what I saw. Kanda yo masters, muchikana masters, muchingo fara tichibva tataura nyaya yachona, because nyaya iri panapa yakanaka. But I'm going to have a chat with Gambakwe tonight, when we are going to be talking about the succession plan ZAOGA, what is going on, and my thoughts, and what I've seen other churches going on. And I'm going to give you references, and you can go and see where the wrong is. I'm also very much aware of what people have been saying, that Baba Dr. Joe Guti has been appointed as the successor of ZAOGA. I don't know, but I am very much aware of that. But we'll talk about that tonight with Gambakwe. God giving me life, I will do that. So, personally, chakanya kundiita kuti ndive loathed muZAOGA was nyaya kuti I was someone who was vocal. I was someone who was I would say things straight. Even the people that I worked with, they knew kuti ndandiri munhu kuti kana ndisingafari ndaitongotaura izvi asipo azviko izvi. And also the other thing, there was underhand dealings that I would see, and that those underhand dealings kuti idini taizowana marika, but our superiors vanga vatowana mari kudhara. Those who worked with me, they know what I'm talking about. Kuti vanhu vari kufanira kukumirirai kuti muwedzere mari, vanenge vachitowana mari, saka taita jema newadya, you know. So those are some of the things that made me to be dissatisfied. And I then started saying, okay, ndo kunamata kwacho here uku, ndo chitendero chacho here ichi. Remember, I'm at the pinnacle of the church. I'm at the apex, right? Yes, with pastors, Vangwari, but remember, I'm dealing with the people that are ndo vari kudhila nevafundisi muchechi. And ndiano andochemera, ndiano andokwanisa kutaura kuti arume, ma-conditions atiri kushanda nawo, they are not good. And in most cases, when I would bring up ideas to say, let us do this to improve the channel, all my ideas were getting shot down. No, we don't do these things here. We don't do these things here. It's not like I was challenging them, but I would just say, I'll bring an idea. What do you think about this? What do you think about this? What do you think about this? And to this very day, I can tell you, Panama videos that are still playing on Ezekiel TV, can asina kuchinjwa in the past few months, in the past 2 months, that I edited, actually ku Ezekiel TV. There are some things that that are still there ku Ezekiel TV, that I said, let's do these things this way, and people adhere to that. So I'm someone who is very very passionate about media, and I loved it with a passion, and I had excellence in what I was doing. So 2015, I was then suspended after all the frustrations that I told you about, and ndopandakabva ndasvipwa zviya zvikunzi gone kawan. I can see my brother Philip Brooms zviri sei wangu. Yeah, so I then left the church in 2019, and I've since left that. The last time that I've been to the church was this past Sunday. I was looking for one of the brothers that I wanted to see, and we're talking about other things. But anyway, the crux of the matter is, I left ZAOGA, or I left Baba Guti, not because of any other thing. Number one, the administration of workers ZAOGA is what really got me, like it hurt me. Kuti the way how people vanhu vanoshumira muchechi, vanhu vanoita zvinhu muchechi, hoping that things their life are going to be changed, but people die in poverty, whilst the people vari kuvaudza kuti zvainaka, they are living a better life. For me, that kind of deception is what I didn't like, whereby people be said, munhu say that is a minister or someone are minister in other way, someone vari minister achishanda kuchechi, achishanda mugarden, but that same person is not appreciated enough, is not remunerated enough to such a way that you would think about that person's family. That's where I have a problem. And a lot of pastors, some of the pastors, enjoy namo, and I've seen pastors vachita buy their way up kuti vakwanise kuzova, they buy their way up kuma bishops kuti vakwanise kuwana mafavors, and they use vatendi in order for them to elevate themselves. Some vanoita zvimakliki zvokuziva kuti vanenge vane group rapastor rinezenge richizokwanisa kuzoti kana pastor vachida kuti vawane favor kuna overseer, that group of people rinoraisa mari, overseer voitwa something, whether kutengerwa moto or whatever the thing. All these things, they are happening. And then come to the issue of doctrine. Doctrine was one of the things that I always had a problem. Pandakaita Amphic Evening course in 2013, 2012-2013. I remember asking one of the lecturers, I think Pastor Johnson Mlambo, about the issue of tithe, about the issue of spiritual fatherhood, and about other things. And I would not get a straight answer, because most of the people, they would avoid these subjects. They would not want to talk about them. You know, they will give how this whole thing is like. So mazira andakaita Baba Guti and the running of the church, after having my questions anenge ari ku back of your mind, when I then pandakazosangana nevhangeri raApostle Chiwenga, remember ndine ma questions andakabvunza lecturer vakasandiudza, and ndine ma frustrations andinawo, and then all that, it culminated to my decision. And I believe it was God who did that, because Marakatoisa that those questions in me, so that when the right answers will come, I would be answered, and I can answer to the core of the salvation that I then got afterwards. So my inclination to ZAOGA, I've got a lot of friends that are there. I've got a lot of people that I have known in my adult life, but I don't have anything against anyone. Even Baba Guti vashona, some I think 2 months ago, I was talking, last month I think I had an interview with Ezekiel Guti. They are still owing me some money. That money is not equal to the salvation that I got. I want to make it clear. Money that I'm being owed to ZAOGA, and the man that I was defrauded by ZAOGA or by Baba Guti, is not compared to the salvation that I got outside of ZAOGA. The salvation and the price that was paid by Jesus, and the price of salvation that was paid, is incomparable to what I lost. And you can see I've not deteriorated. I'm still sane. I'm still okay. I've not begged for food. I'm working for myself, and things actually have become better. However, this is the problem that the church is going to have in the future, whereby they don't remunerate the workers well. They don't give players workers what they deserve. This is against what the Bible says. Kuti kana munhu akanzi ave employed nechurch, anofanira kupiwawo mari yakakwana yekuti iwo inotengawo, kwete mari yekuti imi haitokwaniwo rent, haitokwaniwo chi. It's munhu anenge achistruggle, but achiuya achinzi Mwari anokuona. Izvozvo hazviko izvozvo. That is pure manipulation. And I see it a lot in ZAOGA, and I know a lot of people can attest to that. Kuti kune vanhu vanoshanda, vachibinduka vachidii, but they are not being rewarded according to what they put. So those are the things that I've known. But as for the men, there are things that I can appreciate about him. There is a video that is coming up on my platform where I talk about 5 things that you didn't know about Baba Guti. So just get ready to be up maybe by end of day. So what I can appreciate about the men in terms of teaching purity, though it was not followed to the letter, there was an element. I think kokutanga kwechechi yeZAOGA ichiri kutanga ine zvimwe zvinhu zvayaiita zvanga zvakanaka. Even nyaya dzemasofa dzakanaka zvisingaiti zvekuti vanhu vairoora vachiroora vasikana vari pure. They made sure kuti vakomana havahuri. They made sure kuti vana baba havaiti chihure. They made sure kuti there are things that they would hold sacred and make sure kuti these things are kept and they are maintained church. Anditi though doctrine ranga rakarasika, asi apa pakumeka sure kuti vanhu muchechi havaiti ABCD, it was good. That I can appreciate, that I can applaud the church for doing that. However, now in this newer generation, amanyama mire nerongo, and a lot of nyaya dzekuti bribery is now happening in church. Bribery is now happening at the top level. It's a problem. And izvozvo ndo some of the things or some of the errors that I can see kuti ndo zvakaitika muchechi, despite tisatamboenda kunyaya evhangeri kuti vhangeri rachina rakatwasuka here. Is it in line with the gospel of God? Those are the things zvakakanganisika. And maybe let me just address this maybe once, and then I'll address it again in the evening. Panyaya ye succession, I've spoken about this. Some people may hate me, but I'm telling you what is on my heart and what I believe. People with common sense will take this and not just use their emotions. Because you know what you need to do is, you need to get out of this situation. It's painful, but you need to get out of this with your emotions. And then more pinned up, okay, Baba Guti avasipo. What is going to happen to the church? Chichi chaitika. Anditika. Tirikuchema, yes, my brother, Mr. Mkabazi. Tirikuchema, yes. But my issue is, the issue succession plan, it's a ticking time bomb. Let me give you a good example that you are aware of. You know, kuti chakaita kuti baba Bona Mugabe azobviswana naMnangagwa. It was because of not having a clear succession plan. Yekuti ndivana Grace vachatora, ndivana Sevia Kasukwira vachatora, who was going to take, ndivana ni Disidri Sekrama here ari kutora. Izvozvo. That is the problem. Because a church, no matter how much you might want to spiritualize everything, kutaura chokwadi hainambosiyana nepolitical party. Because my structures a church nema structures a political party, they are almost the same. So the way how people are structured, the way how organizations are structured, they will always follow a certain pattern. So church kana isina succession plan, it is clearly defined to everyone. These are the things that happen. Zvakaitika 2017 zvekuti vaMugabe vakazoerekana vatorwa chigaro. This is the same thing. Whether you like it or not, you don't like me, but I'm saying, not having a clear plan yekuti ndiana achatora chinhu ichi, vanhu zivai munhu achanga achimhanya nechinhu ichi, zivai achanga achinhikira. You know the likes of what's his name, Reinhard Bonke. He left a guy who was, I can't remember his name, is off head, in charge of Jesus Christ for All Nations, something like that, his ministry, before he died. Why was he doing that? Having a clear succession plan will avoid, it's called avoidance of doubt. Zvakaitika kuna baba Bona zviya zvekuti vanhu vakazotonga kuti my Grace vachiti baba ngatiratidze bhiza ravo, avo vari kuto vakomana vada kutora chinhu, vana Savio Kasukwira vada kutora chinhu. These are the things that will happen. You might not like them, but they will come. So people must just take away the emotions. After taking away the emotions, they think straight. They say, where is this organization going? If you don't have a clear succession plan, these are going to happen. So I heard some people saying that Dr. John vachasara or ningi achasara. The problem with that is that the whole church is not aware of that. It's not the whole church that is aware of that. And that's where the problem is. So if the whole church is not aware of that, then how are the other people who top echelons going to react? So it's a recipe for disaster. So my desire was to see when I gave it was not a prophecy, it was an analysis. A prophecy by Dr. Ian Love in 2019, and I said I have not seen a clear succession plan ZAOGA because I was there, and I said that there is need for someone to assign a clear successor. If they assign a clear successor, or it was being acclimatized to the situation, or who's gone, I mean, van church yoziva no ningi ndiye akuchimanya ndiye anenge achimanya zvinhu and everything. You are preparing for the uncertainty, because I know most Christians they've got this naivety. That's why most Christians they don't have funeral policy. Because they live in a bubble. Think no marachan chengeta and all of that. But this problem is going to haunt in the future. If God gives me life and you live to see what I'm saying, this is a recipe for disaster. And I'm not trying to be a prophet of doom, but I'm just saying kuti zvakaitika in 2017, you might see it happening, because vanhu havasi kuziva kuti ndiani akanzingama nechinhu. Mwakaona even zvakaitika kuna Mogenzvangerai. Mogenzvangerai haana kusiyanyatsopaka succession plan. Chimuti chakagwinwa naChamisa akabva aenda nacho. Handiti aenda nacho, vanhu vakati Chamisa atora chinhu, chimuti chaifanirwa kupiwa Tokozani Kupe, chimuti chaifanirwa kupiwa ani. Izvozvo zvinokonzerwa nekuti munhu achinyatsoziva kuti their time to depart is almost over. They don't leave a clear succession plan, which is a problem. And I understand probably there was fears kuti kune vamwe vaida kupiwa chimuti vanga varimo madhara aida kupiwa chimuti kunzi chitorai, because vanhu vanenge vachichechi haisi a family. But madhara iyaya, they were supposed to be told, guys, ningi ndiye ari kutora, kana ari ningi ari kutora ongobata ongopiwa, then you don't have a problem. But this, for me personally, I see disaster. You guys might not want what I'm saying, but I'm telling you, kuti, there is going to be a disaster. And that is not good for a church that I grew up going to, and for the people that I know that are there. And it's not going to be good, because some of you might not want it, but you are going to be orphans. Some of you are going to end up hating church. Some of you, your children, are going to be confused to end up with church, because munenge makura in this environment, kana makuzochizotangidza manje kuti akomana ndo zvatoitika kaizvi ningaenda nechimuti. How are you going to convince? And the other thing chandida kungotaura hangu maybe ndichipedzisa ndechekuti the other things zvakaitika zviri zvandofungidzira kuti they were supposed to be corrected, like issue yezegu nembuya Dorcas. That was I personally thought what was going to be good for Zegu nembuya Dorcas. My members ZAOGA, they were supposed to be shareholders of this thing. They were supposed to be shareholders. Vaitokwanisanga vaitoya kuma AGM, annual general meeting, based on how they worked Matalens. It was not just supposed to go to Matalens move my certificate more pass. You certificate of a shareholder with Zegu. Uchapoto contribute to Zegu kuti Zegu inge chidididi, and at the end of the year, or maybe after 3 or 5 years, mchawana ma dividends ezva ku Zegu or ma dividends ezva kumbuya Dorcas, because these are private owned institutions that are being run by a church, yet some members of the church are not benefiting, but a few at the top are benefiting. That's where pandiri kunoona chimoto chanotangira, because pakuzoda kuona those things topachanetsa. anyway, some of you guys are learned, or some of you you have better understanding, but I'm just giving you some hints and tips on what could be happening. But anyway, I don't want to preempt what I wanted to say tonight on Gambakwe platform. So I'm going to talk about that kuti pachaita kakunetsa ipapo pamberi apo pakuti ndiana achatora chinhu. And I gave you a living example. Number one, zvakaitika pa 2017 pa Operation Restore Legacy, nezvakaitika ku MDC kuti Chamisa akazotora chinhu. Why? Because Morgan Tsvangirai haana kusiya atora aisa, haana kusiya apa kuti ndiana achatora chimuti. Same applies na Mugabe. Haana kusiya ataura kuti vakomana, haana kugara ataura kuti no vakomana ichimuti chakufanira kutorwa nanhengi. Akangopa dzamba ipapo. So you see where the problem is. That's where the problem is going to come. Saka, I loved the man, and I have no hard feelings. It's a pain for the family. It's a pain for the church, the whole church. I know the whole church is mourning. I personally, I am also aggrieved by what happened. But upenyu ndewa Mwari, and before we even talk about the doctrine issues, some other thing. But for now, let me talk about what I'm feeling. I feel for the members of ZAOGA Forward in Faith, in the sense that uncertainty worries me. That uncertainty, papa, pachabuda matemo, that worries me. Because kuna wamwana wachavenga Mwari nekuda kwechiitiko ichi. Kuna wamwana wachavenga church kuti atari kunzwa chinonzi church zvachose after their fights. What is happening in AFM, zvekuti hakuna ma clear plan and all of that. These are the things that I want you to understand, kuti kune vanhu vari muchurch vakauya kuzongomora chete, who don't have a desire. Someone is calling me. Private number. I'm not going to answer.